So here are 22 states you shouldn't go to when you hate certain things. In this new episode of Places You Shouldn't Go To, we're specifically looking at particular states in the great country of the United States of America. Let's start with the first state right away, Texas. Texas is one special state and has some truly incredible natural features. However, there's another side to Texas's nature, and if you're scared of being lifted up hundreds of meters in the sky by a tornado, you definitely shouldn't go to Texas. Since the year 1950 until September 2021, Texas had 9,308 tornadoes in total. This adds up to 131 tornadoes a year, or around one tornado every 3 days. Yeah, that's scary. Next on the list is Hawaii. And if you're rather grumpy and quickly annoyed, you shouldn't go to Hawaii. Hawaii has been the happiest state in the US in 2024, with a happiness score of 66.31. Honestly, not really a surprise to me. Beaches, drinks, sun, Hawaii has it all. On the other hand, people from Hawaii should never go to Alabama. Alabama is often seen as the angriest state. Why? Well, with a score of 9.6% toxic internet comments and 6.8% fatalities caused by road rage, they're officially the #1 angriest in America. Just kidding, of course, Alabama's great. Still, whenever I see a toxic comment on my YouTube video, I'll know where to search. Now, if you don't like or hate crowded places, you shouldn't go to New Jersey. New Jersey's home to approximately 1,300 people per square mile. And if you're more of a quiet place kind of person, this isn't your place to be. On the other hand, the least densely populated state, Alaska, only has 94 people per square mile. And if you're exactly the opposite of peace and quietness, I wouldn't recommend you going to Alaska. If you hate heights and great elevations, you shouldn't consider going to the state of Colorado. Colorado, with an average elevation of 2,074 meters above sea level, isn't exactly the places for people who are rather on low ground. Now, like we always do in each and every episode of these series, we can't forget about the dangerous animals living in these particular states. And therefore, don't ever think of going to Texas if you're scared to die of an animal attack. In general, Texas had seen at least 520 deaths in about 20 years between 1999 and 1919, which is 221 more than the second on the list, California. However, what's more interesting is the animals that kill most people in Texas. A horse? A snake, maybe? Well, think about this for a minute. The animal kills the most people without even attacking or trying to kill them. Yeah, that's a thinker. If you said a deer, you were absolutely right. Deers are responsible for 5,000 car collisions and a stunning 17 fatalities a year. That's one you wouldn't expect to see. Next off, if you hate the fear of being attacked by a shark, you should definitely not go to the state of Florida. While in 2021, a total of 47 sharks attacks were recorded, Florida was responsible for a whopping 28 of them. Since 1837, Florida has recorded a stunning number of 852 shark attacks in total. Yeah, that's scary. Of course, you could also consider the option to not go into the water, so you can still visit the beautiful Florida, but let's leave out that option for a second. If you like sport and don't like people who are obese, you shouldn't go to West Virginia, which has an obese rate of 40.6%. And if you don't like fast food restaurants, you shouldn't consider going to Alabama. Alabama has 6.3 fast food restaurants for every 10,000 residents. Now, if you don't like extreme weather and especially cold, you shouldn't go to, well, you can probably guess it, but Alaska. Alaska has an average temperature of -2 degrees Celsius and an all-time record of -62. Yeah, that's cold. However, if you're more of a person who likes cold and hates extreme heats, you should never consider moving to the state of Florida. Florida has an average temperature of 22 degrees Celsius and has reached mind-blowing temperatures of 109 degrees Celsius in the summer of 1931. Let me know where you would rather stay, 109 degrees Florida or -62, Alaska. Back to Texas for the third thing on this list of reasons why you shouldn't go to these states, with this time the fear of thunder strikes. While normally Florida is the queen of lightning strikes with 25 per square mile and 1.45 million in a year, Texas completely blew that number away with 42 million strikes in a year. Now, of course, Texas is way larger than Florida, but 42 million is absolutely mind-blowing. Moving on to something completely different and something I'm probably gonna regret after watching the comment section of this video, but if you hate weird and craziness, you should avoid the state of Ohio at all costs. No guys, just kidding. Ohio is amazing, and we should not make jokes about the state. Well, except for this one, of course. Anyway, if you hate tourists and all the cameras they bring with them, you should never go and visit Florida. Florida received a stunning 137.6 million people in the year 2022. Of course, if you were to visit Florida, you should keep in mind that you're probably a tourist as well, but let's forget that for now. If you don't like or even hate high buildings and skyscrapers, I would recommend for you not to visit New York. They are home to the most skyscrapers in the country. Examples are the Empire State Building, Central Park Tower, and the One World Trade Center. However, New York is absolutely amazing, so I can't say that you shouldn't visit it. Now, if you're still young and don't like to be around so-called older people, you shouldn't go to Maine. Maine had the highest median age among states in 2022, at 45 years old. That places it on the higher end, comparable to countries such as Italy and Greece. On the other hand, if you don't like being around younger people, the state of Utah is not your piece of cake. Utah has a median age of 32 years. This is 13 years younger than Maine, and comparable to countries like Brunei, Colombia, and Kazakhstan. Going back to the state of Maine with another fear ready: dark forests. When you don't like dark and creepy forests and it is a serious fear, you should probably look for another state aside from Maine. Maine is covered for at least 89% with forests. I know I wouldn't want to walk here at night. Not a fan of lakes? Well, Alaska, which ironically also carries 3 of the 4 letters lake, has 3,197 lakes, over 3 million unnamed lakes, and an area that adds up to 5% of its total. Yeah, that's impressive. And if you hate the idea of being stuck in a natural disaster, California is the state you should avoid at all costs. The state has the San Andreas fault system that complicates the outlook for the residents due to the relatively high risk of earthquakes. The 1906 San Francisco earthquake was estimated at a 7.9 and killed over 3,000 persons, besides reducing the city's infrastructures to 80%. The most recent major earthquake was the 1994 North Ridge, where the earthquake had a magnitude of 6.7, and according to reports, there were 57 deaths and damage of approximately $44 billion. This major earthquake may strike shortly, and professional seismologists advise that the big one, an 8, a 0+ magnitude earthquake that poses a probability of happening within the next 3 decades with a probability of 7%, is actually in the pipeline, waiting to strike. And lastly, if you're scared of nuclear radiation penetrating your body, Nevada is definitely the state to avoid, all thanks to the Nevada test site. This testing ground is approximately 65,000 yards from Las Vegas, and it was the primary testing site of the American nuclear weapons from 1951-1992. More than 1,000 nuclear tests took place, with some of the blasts causing radioactive debris to fall on downwind living areas and produce health and environmental problems. The established nuclear waste disposal facility in Yucca Mountain, Nevada, though not fully developed, remains problematic due to environmental repercussions if functional. So definitely not the place to visit if you value your health. And with that fact, we have covered the complete 22 states you shouldn't go to when you hate these things, and already the 5th episode on this topic. Let me know if you know any other states you shouldn't go to when you hate certain things. Also, let me know if you'd like another episode on US states or maybe on something totally different. You can also watch all the other 4 episodes in this amazing playlist right here on your screen. Anyway, thank you for watching, and as always, see you in the next episode of Earth Basics.